Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. It's a brand new build on the bench today, and I have to say this is going to be epic in its proportions, simply because I've never built anything this large. It is the Helios 1650 Enterprise D, and I am going to start this massive behemoth build. Now, I don't know whether we'll be doing this in succession all the way through, or whether I'll be breaking this up just to take a break from it. I don't know. It is ridiculously massive. So let me start by introducing you to some of the parts. So here is, if you can believe this, this is my side bench. And everything is laid out here, except the top portion of the saucer, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. Now, additionally with this, there is a decal set that is sold separately and a lighting kit that is sold separately. Now, lots of controversy on the lighting kit, I think, only because, all due respect to Helios, I don't necessarily think this was completely thought through. At least from my perspective, looking at the kit, I don't think it was thought through. Now, there may be an alternative way to do this, and I'm not sure. I have been in touch with, his name is Andy, and Lou Delmiso over at Aztec Dummy and myself met Andy actually this year in Wonderfest, and we actually met him at Telford last year. But he is he's with, this is Andy's business card, as it were, and so we spoke to him, and he is in fact, he has this model and he's working on a design for it. Now the thing about that is that it would be a plug and play kit that you would program into your phone or to an iPad. Now, there's a lot of you out there who go, uh-oh, Bluetooth, crazy, don't go there. But a couple of aspects of this kit, of the Helios kit, I am not personally in love with. So, but anyway, I'm not knocking the kit. I'm thrilled to be building it, and or at least attempting to build it. Anyway, let's go back to that bench preview again. You can see the lower saucer is there. There's a metal plate to the left of the saucer, and that is sandwiched between the part to the left of that, which is the lower part of the secondary hull, and the top portion of the secondary hull has what you can see is an armature that I have placed in it just for test fitting. The very back, of course, are the pylons for the nacelles, and to the left of that you've got your nacelles, which includes a top, a bottom, your chiller grill clear parts, and of course the front of the Bassard collector area and the accordion type tubing that is connected to that. And that basically is the whole kit and caboodle, as it were. Well, here's the top of the saucer. So for scale, I can tell you for scale, this saucer measures exactly 26, just a little over 26 inches in width. 26 inches. It's over 2 feet. Look at this. Look at the size of this saucer. It is insane. It's absolutely insane. Now it is resin, but the way this resin has been finished is it's been sandblasted, and so it has this beautifully smooth finish. Oh, I like doing that. And so it really makes it quite a treat to work on, and there's not an awful lot of cleanup you have to do. However, having said that, there are a couple of things that I'm noticing with my kit that I'm a little disappointed about. One of them is One of them is, let me show you here. Yeah, this is this is the actual filming miniature. These are some production stills of the actual filming miniature, and I'm zooming in on what is the very, very top of the AB deck. I'm calling it the AB deck, which is sort of where the bridge is. Now, it looks all fine and dandy there, but mine is not that impressive. No, it's not out of focus. It's just very muddy. It's not crisp. Do you see? And the actual filming miniature piece is a lot crisper. It's a lot crisper. There it is. So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm actually going to work on that, because when you look at it, it's muddy. Now I can clean that up a little bit with a little bit of sprue and maybe some card and just get some more definition out of that. But it definitely is a little disappointing. The other thing that you'll notice with this is, and it's curious, if I flip it over, there is, well, I'm not sure how to show you this, but the only way to show you is if I put my knife, that's good, that'll work. If I put my knife over here, do you see? Right there. That's a gap. And curiously, I wasn't sure whether this was a production issue or whether or not it's been deliberately done that way so it can be removed for some reason. But I don't know. Now, all of the windows on this are ridiculously crisp, so that's beautiful. And there's a lot of them. So we have to put windows in it. How are we going to do that? Well, the same way we created the dome for the top here, because if I go back and I show you again the top of this right here, you will notice that it needs a clear part. Now, I'm going to have to fill all of these with resin, including this part here. And the way I'm going to do that is quite ingenious. I've been working with, now Solarez is my go-to. That's what we're going to be using on the windows. Here it is. This is what I'm going to be using on the windows. This is Solarez. Get you a little closer. But if you'll notice on this, it says doming resin. Now, they have several versions of this, but the doming resin is absolutely genius. And I was doing some tests, and look at this. I made a dome. A beautiful crystal clear dome. Now, the one here is a little too large. That was my first test. The second attempt was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And so I'm going to take it and demonstrate the perfection of it here. Let me drop this in. It's extraordinary, just extraordinary. And let me swing it back and show you that. Look at that. It's incredible, isn't it? And of course, you know, because it's clear resin, you can light it. Amazing. I could not have been happier. Couldn't have been happier. So if you are working on this particular behemoth, get yourself some Solarez doming resin. They also have in various different versions. They've got crystal clear. I've got a bunch of it. But that's what we're going to be using. And we're going to get all of these windows in. And we're gonna first and foremost, we're going to work on sealing up all of these little cracks. and there's a couple of them on here. We're going to be doing that with some light curing putty, and we're also going to be giving this a very light sort of light blocking coat on the inside. And then we're going to be consulting with Lou for an Aztec dummy, who I understand is also going to be building this. Well, understand, that's not fair. I know he's building this. And so when I found that out, if you don't think I'm going to be stalking the Great Aztec Dummy, you're wrong. I will be, because getting his insight, his knowledge, and some unbelievable advice on how to sort of move this forward is going to be absolutely priceless. Now, interestingly enough, there are several people building this on the channels. There's a gentleman called Canadian Starship, nice guy. Met him briefly at Wonderfest this year. He's building this, and what he did was he decided that he was going to remove all of the material on the inside of this all the way around, and then he was going to fill that with resin, and I believe he's done it. Now, the thing that makes that a little makes me a little unsure of that is the fact that, first of all, I don't think you can get that perfectly clean, and second of all, here's the clear part that sits on top of it, and that's how it's supposed to be anyway. It's supposed to sit like this. That's how it's supposed to be. And then you could what I think you can do is you can actually scribe off this line so you stay within it, and paint under here. You can paint this probably a metallic or something to help this shine through. And then the idea is you've got these they're called addressable SMDs, and they've given us a whole bunch of them on wafers. Now these addressable SMDs are all connected to each other, and they go in these holes, and the idea is that it just chases around and stops. I don't really think it's necessary to eliminate the rest of the rest of the material here, unless you're going to use some kind of other material. But it's only the addressable SMDs that will allow it to chase around and stop. To my knowledge, unless there's a board that would you could program carbs into or something like that. But I don't see the reason for it, so I'm not going to remove any of that material. I wanted to share that with you. And if you look on the inside here, there's no way to actually. I mean, you could start gouging this out so that you would have some kind of a channel in here, but I don't think it's necessary. I think all you need to do is just make sure that these addressable SMDs are tight to it. Now, if you follow the Helios plan. Now, Andy over at Inner Light is talking about creating some kind of a raised channel that you can actually lean your addressable SMDs on, and you should get enough light to penetrate this. At least that's the theory. So there's an awful lot to talk about. Now, Helios came out with a shuttle bay, so you can remove this material if you want to. We have the shuttle bay. which you could have open with shuttles in it or whatever. You can see inside the ship. So if you wanted to do that, you can. And Shapeways, before it imploded, actually sold a bridge. Although how you would see that in here, Lord only knows. So that is how we are starting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to patch all of this up. Clean it up, and then I'm going to start by giving it a light, just a very light blocking coat on the inside, and then I'm going to start working on windows. Okay, while I have been working on the top of the saucer of the D, I post on Instagram, and I obviously do it every day. So those photos are going to be in advance of what the video build-up actually sees, and I can see that there is going to be a lot of interest in this, and I'm thrilled. And my latest friend and acquaintance that I have made through the channels is Andrew over at Canadian Starship, and he's building this. He's building a couple of them, and we've been chatting. And of course, Lou Dalmeso over at Aztec Dummy, he has this kit, and he's going to be working on it as well. And he's also going to be working on some masks for this. So bless him for that. But I have had a couple of questions. People have reached out to me about using UV resin in these windows, and what my experience has been, and how am I doing it, and do I have to? There's been questions about, oh, you have to hold the saucer at a certain angle, and how do you get rid of bubbles and all of this? Well, let me say, you're not going to get it 100% perfect, but you're going to do a really darn good job, I think, with the methodology that I'm suggesting. Now, by no means is this, the only way to do this. There's going to be a ton of ways. You could possibly use microcrystal clear. I did a couple of tests with the microcrystal clear, and the issue is that before it starts to get tacky, it wants to ooze. So you're going to have to put some clear tape, 3M clear tape on the back of it, and fill your cracks, and then just sort of wipe them down and leave them. But even with that, you're going to get some shrinkage, and when you get the shrinkage, you're going to get gaps, and the gaps will cause bubbles. And that certainly is the case there. And it's certainly going to be the case with some of these UV resins too, depending on how you put them in. Now, I've tried the syringe method. I have tried even my light curing putty here, which I am absolutely in love with. And we are going to be using this. There's a time and a place for this. This is the light curing. This is from Frozen. Now, I think there are other formulas out there. You do not have to get this one. This is what it looks like. It's like it comes in these small jars. It goes, you get quite a bit of use out of it. And I'm going to be using that for sure on some of these areas here. Now, these windows are much larger, and so they're going to need, and they're also on a contour, so that's going to have to be contoured. So the putty is going to be perfect for that, because it will contour in there beautifully. And at a later date, I will probably do even more of a demonstration. I'm going to hit this a couple of times. And the reason why is look at this. You can see the amount of work that has to be done to get all these windows in. So there's plenty of opportunity. This will not be the first time that you see me working on windows, because I do think that if you are going to tackle something like this, and even if you're not going this large and you want to do it, this is a nice way to do it. So a little bit of a journey here, because I think it's valuable, and this is a big project, so I think it's worth me memorializing some of these steps in some detail. I have been through several resins. Now, I am recommending, I like my Solarez. I've talked about it earlier, and the Solarez is great, and it comes in various different forms. Now, it comes in something called diamond, and here's that. That's what that looks like. and it's crystal clear. Now, you can certainly use this on the windows. However, one of my concerns with using the crystal clear, and it's super crystal clear, is you're going to need to create some diffusion, because what I found is that when you light up the underside of this, you get your SMD strip lighting in here, you could get some really hard bright light with the crystal clear, the diamond crystal clear. Now, the advantage of it, if it's a window you want to see in, that's a better use of it. But if it's just for all of these outer windows, no, because it just doesn't look real. It's not natural. So I would recommend not using that. As I mentioned earlier, I've got something called SolarRes doming. It's called doming resin. And here's what that looks like. That's your doming resin. And the great thing about the doming resin is you can create domes. Now, it's only used in jewelry to, you can color this. But look at the effect. So let me show you this. And I've showed you this before. I'm going to show you it again. I've created a perfect dome. And it's going to sit nicely in the top here of the. Let me get in here. It's going to sit nicely. It's going to sit nicely in this dome. If you wanted it to sit on top, now I don't, obviously. I'm not going to be doing that. Mine's going to be coming from underneath, and I've got a smaller one that works perfectly. But it's working for that. And this was just a test piece, but I'm keeping it because, it's a good piece, and I'll probably make a few of those and put them in my stash. Where we used to use googly eyes, you no longer have to use googly eyes. You can use these, and you're going to get a much, much better result, in my opinion. Now, what I am using on my windows, I think I've mentioned this earlier, but I'm probably repeating myself. But if I'm, I'll go through my edit and make sure that I'm not repeating myself, is this Bondic pen. And here's this is. Now, they don't pay me to say any of this. No one is sponsoring this. I wish they were, but they're not. So this is just trial and error. Now, this does come with a UV pen light inside of it. You don't really need it. What you really need is the resin reservoir, and that comes. It comes like this. This is what it looks like. You can refill this, I've just discovered, but it has this nib. And what this nib does is it allows you to get in here perfectly. And you go up and down 2 or 3 times. Well, you can see it's going in now. You go in 2 or 3 times like this until you get it well and truly in the crack like that. Now, that one's got a little bit of schmutz on it. So what I do is I just sort of wipe that down like that. And then I hit it like that with my UV light. And after, it takes about 4 seconds. And then after you've hit that for 4 seconds, you take it off, and there's your window. It's perfect. Now, to get it, to make sure that there's no schmutz or anything, I am using a 2000 grit pad. This is a Tamiya pad. And I've got it nice and wide because I can get a large area here. And I rub that over there until I start to see that dusting. Do you see? Then what I do is I hit it. One window, no waiting. And to show you how beautiful that is, I'll stick a light under it. Come on. Where's my... Of course, it would help if I was using the right window. There we go. There it is. It's in the center of the... There's 2 to the left and 2 to the right, and it's in the center. And that is a result. It's beautiful. And it's not yellowing. It's not yellowing at all, and it's coming out really well. And let me show you here. There's my windows. Look how clean that is. And if I shine a light behind it, you get perfect windows. And they're nice and warm. Nice and warm. And they're clean. So that is how I am doing my windows. And I was not joking when I posted that I've counted these. There's over 800 in the saucer top. So that is how we are tackling the glass. And it's quite zen. I've started on this side, and thanks to, the great Wayne Green over at World of Wayne, who says, I make mistakes so you don't have to. I just was working on this and experimenting. And so I went around and I've tried all the different resins. Now I have found another way to go, which is this is a huge, this is an 18-ounce bottle of Mr. resin. It's on Amazon. You can find it. It's a fast curing, odorless UV, medium viscosity. And I think it's the medium viscosity that you want. Now what I've tried to do, and it works, is it comes with a tip that you can actually fill up these. Now this is not the same company. It's a different company, but it will fill these up, and it's the same viscosity. I've tested it. So there you have it. An absolutely good way for me to go. So I feel comfortable that I'm going to be able to handle all of the windows, which was giving me agita. But what's going to give me even more agita, imagine, because we've got to go around at a certain point, and we're going to have to literally mask all of these. Mask the ones that we want on, and we will obviously paint out the ones that we don't want on. But that's coming to a theater near you. So there's an awful lot to do. Now I don't just have this saucer. I also have the secondary hull, the lower part of the saucer, and the secondary hull. Let me bring those in quickly and show you these. I figured out how this armature goes in. So I'm going to leave it in here because it's a pain to get out. But this is going to support the saucer. The saucer. This is your support mechanism, and it's going to be attached to the lower half of the secondary hull. But look at all these windows. Look at this. Let me get you. You can see what I'm dealing with. Now we've got these wonderful bays here, which will remain closed. We're not working with those, but you've got more shuttle bays. All these windows, all of them, all have to be handled all the way to the front. It's quite a monstrosity, and if I put the lower half on to attach it, just to show you. Now, it's not sitting nicely yet, but it will. There you go. And that's what the lower half looks like. And of course, it's got the opening for your 1-inch pipe. And I can probably do a better job of sitting this down. There you go. There you go. So that is what your secondary hull looks like. So when you take this and you put it like this, you really start to see how much of a behemoth this actually is. And I have to say, as much as of this is intimidating, and it is intimidating, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Now, I feel comfortable that I can handle it. The electronics, not so much. I'm going to show you now the kit, the lighting kit that comes with this model. And we'll go through that, and I'll show you what you get in that. And we'll also take a look at the decals. And I think that will conclude this sort of preview opening build episode. And then you know, we'll look at well, I can show you. Let me show you quickly nacelles. Let me just get the nacelles out. Here is a nacelle with an accordion. Now I know we've looked at this briefly, but here's the nacelle, and this nacelle has a clear part for the chiller grill, which you can see. It sits here. Let me show you here. This is the chiller grill insert that sits in, and then your top part sandwiches the two together. And what I'm noticing here is this is very, very brittle. So I'm going to have to be extra careful here that I don't snap that. And then there's this accordion piece that goes on. And then, let me just set this down carefully. Then there's the Bassard collector itself. And that's two parts. It's a clear part, and that slides in, and that drops on. And look at the size of this beast. It's huge. Now, what I don't know yet, and we're going to get into this in great detail, so don't worry. Now, there's actually some windows in here, if you could believe it. But there are all these holes, and they are so that you can connect your pylon to the to the ship. But there's no support structure for that. None. You're expected to just, I guess with some epoxy resin, just glue this onto here. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to reinforce that, maybe with some steel rod or something. I don't know. But I don't feel comfortable just putting a bunch of epoxy on here and hoping that stays. I don't know. But we're going to be looking at that a lot more detail as we go through this build, because there's going to be plenty of opportunity for us to look at this build. Plenty of opportunity. Okay, let me show you. Let me put this aside, and let me bring over the let me bring over the lighting kit so you can take a look at it. Now, as I said earlier in the top of this preview kind of stage 1 build build update, I'm waiting to talk to Andy over at his company. Now, his company is called Scale Electronics, Inner Light, Scale Electronics, and he's in the UK. And I'm waiting to talk to him because Lou and I met him at Wonderfest and at Telford last year. And he has an addressable system that's plug and play. And I'll, as I show you the kit that came from Helios, you'll see why I'm seriously thinking about using a plug and play system. So let me bring over that kit, and we'll take a look at that. Okay. Here is the lighting kit, which it's not included in your purchase price. Your decal set and your lighting kit are separate options. All you get is, if you just purchase the kit, is you get the kit. Now, there are some people out there in Hobbyland who are far more sophisticated than I am and have the capacity to sort of figure out all of these things on their own. That's not me. I'm the guy who really relies on people to help me, and there's some really good eggs out there. I mean, Ralph at Tenor Controls, he's always happy to help, as is Randy Newbert over at Voodoo Effects. These are good guys. They'll answer the phone, they'll answer your emails, and they'll help you. And I really appreciate that. Their products are excellent, and so if you ever need help with lighting, those are some of the places to go. Okay, so when you open this box up, the first thing I wanted to show you is my decal set, and I need to actually start paying attention to this and making sure that I keep this flat. But here it is, it is it's quite a lot. There's quite a lot here, and there's a lot to look at. Now, each one of these decal sets has to. They have to get a couple of coats of Bonder on them, and they're not in any special order, so that we have to go through. But I can see, obviously, I can see these are secondary hull neck pieces, and I can see you've got nacelle pieces here as well. Obviously, more of your secondary hull with lots of lifeboats. And side panels, lots of side panels. Great detail. I mean, this is going to make life a lot easier. However, one of the things here, and this, this is what gives me pause, is, you cannot be arrogant about this. These are large, large pieces. And so when it comes to getting these down, make no mistake about it, it's not for the faint of heart, because as you cut these pieces out, and we're going to need to get as close to the edges as possible so that we don't see a lot of transfer film, they're still large decals, which means as they slide off into position, you're going to have a really slick wet surface. You're going to have to really be patient and try to be as accurate as you can, because you have to be lucky, because there are going to be issues where you get some tears and some cracks and some stuff like that. So one of the things that I probably will do is I will make copies of all of these, so that before I use them, I have a backup situation where if there's a tear of any kind, I can at least make one or two sheets and join everything together. But as we go through here, you can see some of the detail here, and it's pretty decent. Here's a call out for Enterprise right there. Nice and crisp. There's nothing wrong with these. Nice and crisp. And they look pretty good. And so you go down the line and you can see all of the call outs. They're not separate. That's one of the issues. They're built into these decals. So pause for concern, but we're going to have to take our time. Now, obviously, you can see here that NCC 1701D goes together like this. So you've got your your top and your bottom, obviously here. That's what I'm looking at. But there, it's built into the here you go. So that's what we're sort of dealing with, right? And it's nice and clear. It's nice and clean. I mean, you've got 3 layers of color here. All your lifeboats. More, all done in pie shapes. We've done pie shapes before. These are slightly larger, but we know how to do that. So here are all those. And it just goes on. And you keep going. Now there's no call out for where any of this goes, which is it's not the end of the world. You're going to have to cut them and sort of, do a pre-test. And what they do say on the top here is they do say that you need to use a high gloss clear coat on top of the base color, and then they want you to use a semi-gloss clear on the decals before putting into the water, and they want you to use a softener like Revell Decal Soft. Use a flat clear coat over the finish. So it's the basic, it's your basic decal kind of setup before you get going. And you're going to definitely have to, you're definitely going to have to take your time. And that's okay. What I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to find a place to keep these that's dust free and very flat so that we don't get too much curl on them. But that's your decal set. Now, if you were to use a base the way this L-car that they send you is supposed to be used, let me get this. So this is supposed to be for your base, and you've got touch buttons that you can stick under torpedo, phaser, phaser effect, startup sequence. You can just put your touch button under this, and the idea is obviously it's going to simulate your L-car's touchscreen process. Not crazy about this. Not crazy about the colors and the size of it. It's huge. And, I talk about jokingly about real estate all the time, but I just don't think I want a base this large. And what I'm curious about is why didn't Helios say, hey, this is how you attack your base? They just, I don't know how much of this really got thought through. No, I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just making an observation. And that observation is that, it kind of feels like some of the elements for construction were just left to your own accord. Now, you could argue, certainly, that you have to be at a certain skill level to tackle this anyway. And you shouldn't be tackling this if you're not sure what you're doing. Fair enough. But there's a lot of us who are coming up through the ranks who feel like we're getting stronger and stronger and stronger and going to the next level on things. And we feel like we can tackle this. Just give us a little bit of direction and we'll be fine. That's how I feel. So would it have been nice to have had a schematic or a blueprint of how you could potentially build a base that this would fit into? Yeah. Do you put acrylic down first and then you put you lay your buttons down and then you put your L-car over your acrylic? Most likely. And then you drop it into a box that you build. This is definitely, as you know, a behemoth of a ship, so we're going to need something that's really strong. But I don't know if I want a base that's that huge. And when you look at what Andy is doing over at Scale Electronics, it's all wireless, so it's coded so that his system, now it's not this system, it's a completely separate system. So I don't want to suggest that you can take elements of his system and put them with this system, because you wouldn't want to do that. This requires its own motherboard. But his system will work off of an iPad or a smartphone. And everything is remote controlled and it's all on there. And it feels like a more efficient way to do this. So anyway, that's the L-car. Now, you do get this when you buy the lighting kit. You do get this. Let me pull out a couple of these. Ooh, come on. There we go. Okay. So you do get this. And what you can see here is that you've got their motherboard, the touch buttons that I talked about that are supposed to go under that L-car. And then you have your phaser array, top and bottom. That's your big sweeping phaser array effect. You've got those for top and bottom. You have a speaker outlet because there are built-in effects to this board. You've got your in and out power supply, and they do supply a switch. This is your L-car backlight, so you can put some backlight under your acrylic if you want to get some light to your L-cars. And then you've got all of your windows down here. You've got your saucer, your secondary hull, bottom, neck, and then over here you've got all of these elements. You've got Bassard collectors left and right. You've got your deflector dish, and you've got your position lights. Now, I don't know if any of these position lights are flashing, but I don't believe anything. I believe that there are, like on the next generation, the television series, there were some nav lights that blinked, I believe, and I do have a schematic of that. And then over here, you've got your impulse engine discs, body, torpedo, bow, and stern, and your warp engines, left and right. Okay, so that's your chiller grill effect right here. Now, I don't know if these SMD strips are in blue or are they in white, and we have to hit those clear parts with some Tamiya clear. I don't know, but this is what you get. And so now it's not terrible. It's not terrible. You know, I can understand it. So, you know, I say, okay, fair enough. They did also, by the way, offer, they offered a shuttle bay. If you want to open up the back and put in a shuttle bay, it was an extra piece. But people were asking about it, and they did build it. And they, you know, it was $80, but I sent away for that. Am I going to open up the back and put this in? I don't know. Here's the motherboard. It's very nice. It's very clean. And you've got, you know, you've got all of your pins here for to put everything in. It's very high-end material, in my opinion. It's beautifully done. You've got your soundboard here. Your sort of your main board here. And you are able to, I believe, you are able to upgrade your sounds if you want to. And then you've got all of your other plugins here. So it's a nice board. It's a nice board. And it's beautifully done. So whoever did their electronics for them, they didn't, you know, as far as I can see, they did a very nice job, because I mean, in the past I've seen homegrown I've seen homegrown versions of boards, as we all have. Not pretty, not pretty. So you know, it's a decent board. Now, I was talking to Lou Del Meso, and Lou suggested, or we've been talking about the idea that you put your board in the saucer, and all that comes out of the base is your power, and everything is in the saucer. There's a good argument to be had there, because it does reduce the amount of insanity in that base, because once that ship is planted on that base, I don't think it's going anywhere unless you're smart enough to figure out how to do some kind of a plug to disconnect the umbilical. You know, there is a smaller version of that available. I don't know if there's one this size. There may well be. You know, it's 1 inch, right? So that's what they're calling for. That's what they've built into the bottom of the secondary hull. So that's what you would assume you use. And I have seen copper pipe being used. Black pipe is preferable, I think. The question is what are your connection points? Because inside that secondary hull is this metal plate, and that metal plate, well, we can look at it here. You can see the metal plate laying there next to some paint colors I've pulled, and the bottom of the secondary hull is touching it. So it's between the saucer and the bottom of the secondary hull there. There's that plate. And that plate is supposed to sandwich in between for stability. So once you get that plate in, the question is can you, and now it doesn't have a hole in it, so what it suggests is that you're going to go through, you're going to sit the plate down, your pipe's going to go through there, and then you're going to lock down onto that. with perhaps even just simply a washer and a nut. Don't know. So anyway, you get lots of stuff, and it all comes in these bags. And I'm going to pull all the bags out so that you can see what was in the box. They've done a very nice job at putting it all out here. Here's your wall wart, and this is the wire they give you. Now, I don't know who figured this out and how they figured it out or what their thought process is, because they don't give you any information. But this is, it's 20 by 0.14, and it's got an awful lot of wire in here. And on the so they want you to run everything to this, or either to the ribbon cable, and they've given you ribbon cable as well. And everything is very well marked. Now this is a 12 volt 3 amp wall wart that they give you. So we certainly know we need at least 3 amps, and I would imagine that you need all 12 volts. It makes perfect sense for the amount of strip lighting that you've got here. So that's your plug, and then you've got your window. It says window disc, but this is just SMD. This is just SMD. So that's for all your windows. Here are your touch buttons, and everything is nicely sealed in these pouches to prevent any kind of static electricity buildup, and I do like that. So here they are, and so you're going to connect your touch buttons to these, and so what's not clear to me now, it just says touch, so I assume that you can put pressure on this and it will ignite this switch. That's what you get. So I assume this is the same kind of technology that is in iPads and that sort of a thing. Same kind of technology. I don't know, because I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm sure a lot of my subs out there can help me. And it comes with all of the pre-connected wires. And what I appreciate about that is you've got your hot, your ground, and then you've got your continuity. And that's what allows you to control the on and off ability of these switches, and to change the functionality of it. So those are your touch button switches. It says you've got your phaser top and bottom, and this is what I was talking about. So these are the addressable SMDs. Here they are. And they come in a wafer, so obviously you snap them off. And you've got continuity, and you've got positive and negative, and they all have to go in one way, obviously, and you have to make sure that you get that correct. And you have got a whole bunch of them that all have to be wired together in a synchronous fashion to make your phaser effect work, if that's what you so choose. So you get all of those. A lot of work, right? But I mean, you're supposed to take your time. You've got your Bassard collector LEDs, and that's a color. Those are just colored LEDs. You've got your Windows body bottom, and that's just SMDs. You've got your warp engines, which are SMD Take 2, but I don't know. It doesn't call out whether it's what color whether this is. I'll have to hook one of these up and test it to see whether or not they're blue already or not. So we can do that. That's not an issue. But I'm curious to know. And you've got your window neck, which is more SMD tape. So it's a lot of SMD tape, right? Now in here is your speaker. A very nice speaker. But again, you know, it's a square, right? Here it is. But it, you know, it's curious that it's a square. I mean, it's a very nice speaker, don't get me wrong, but it's not as if there's any kind of a schematic to say, hey, this is how you should place it. It's just a cool speaker, which is fine. I'm not knocking it. You've got impulse engines, so those are more LEDs. You've got your position lights, which are just LEDs. Your deflector light, which is LED. You've got your torpedoes, which are LEDs. Window body more. This is the top, so more SMD. Your white blinking position lights, so you do get those, so that's good. Those are there are several on this ship, and I do have a schematic of where they go, but I do know that they are the white ones. I know that the green and red navigation lights do not blink. They're solid. That much I do know. You've got your static whites, and you've got your reds. So that is everything you get. Now this says, that's the, these are, we looked at these. These are these are your addressable SMDs. Now, what else do you get? Well, you get a piece of blue tape here, which I'm assuming is so that you can attach your board to something, I believe. There's no instructions. Now there was a switch that comes with this as well. Where is that? I think that might be in here. What is in here? So here's the bridge, and then you get you get your details for the sides. Let me go here. So you get your side walls. I believe this is the rear wall. I don't know. And then they'll go in something like that. And you do get some shuttles, which is cool. I mean, it is kind of fun, I have to admit. There is a part of me that is saying, go ahead and do this. You get these lovely shuttles, and then you get all kinds of freight. Come on. So it kind of looks something like this. And you get all this freight. I'm just going to drop these in so I don't lose anything. Lots of freight, so you got plenty of opportunity here. Now there's no decals for this. That's all you got. This is all you get. But it's fun, and it is a kind of a cool way, I have to admit, to upgrade, you know, the eye candy for this build. So that is fun. There was one other element here. I just have to, oh, here it is. It's a switch. Just a power on and off switch. You know, it's a decent one. This is what you get. Nice size. So that's your lighting kit. You know, as long as you're careful, you follow the directions, this is not superly complicated in terms of how you follow the schematic and put it together. Not superly complicated. Okay, so that is a brief overview from 50,000 feet of what I'm tackling. and it's going to obviously be a project that takes us well into, I would say, October, I would imagine. Fingers crossed that if I can just, progress, it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll see an awful lot. I'll learn a lot. We're going to grow a lot. So I'm excited to have you guys follow along on this very ambitious build. Exciting, as I'm recording this, it's the last few days of July. So this will go up next week for me, which will be first week in August for you. I'm traveling that week, and then I'll be back. And I'm not sure what we'll do that week. Maybe I'll just keep working on a little bit of this behind the scenes, and we'll do another build before the August 20th, which is the third week. It's my birthday week. I'm a Virgo. So I share the same birthday as the great Sean Connery, August the 25th. And my birthday week is going to be an awesome week, because my good friend Lou Dalmaso is coming out to California to hang with me for a week. And he's going to be working on this behemoth with me, mostly just to give me some advice and some counsel, and to talk through some strategy for me. So I'm very excited about that, and it's so much fun to hang with Lou. And besides the fact that we're going to have a lot of fun, I learned so much, and I hope you'll enjoy having him on the channel for the next. Well, I don't know if it'll be the second update. It most likely will be the second update of this series. But that's coming up in August of 24, so I'm excited about that. Hey, as always, if you want to reach me, I am spruverse@gmail.com. That's where you can drop me a line, or you can leave a comment below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. That means an awful lot to me. You can follow my daily Insta-weed, in the weeds, I should say, postings on Instagram, which is at Spruverse. Occasionally I am on TikTok, never on Threads. And as always, I wish all of you, please be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.